The taxi splashed through puddles as I cursed my luck in this damn corpus. Christy Rain, my perfectly ironed blouse, was already wrinkled from running 3 blocks in the downpour. First day of coding boot camp, and I was going to be late. Stop, right? Here a voice called out the cab, screeched to a halt. A blonde woman yanked open the door, sliding in beside me. Water droplets cascaded from her hair onto a crystal pendant. Our eyes met in the rearview mirror, striking blue against my green something. Shifted in the air, where to the driver, Aztec Innovation Center. We said in unison. She turned to me, surprised, dancing across her features coding boot camp. Yes. I smoothed my damp skirt, trying to maintain some dignity. Dr. Rachel Mitchell Avery. Watson, she smiled, and something fluttered in my chest. I read energies for a living. I nearly choked. Great. I was sharing a cab with a psychic as a doctor. I believed in science. Not crystal balls, but there was something about her presence that made the cab feel electric. You don't believe in what I do, she said, those blue eyes twinkling. That's okay. Most doctors don't. How did you? The way you tensed up. Plus, that's a surgeon's watch. She gestured to my wrist. Let me guess, escaping something. I stiffened. How could she possibly know about the divorce papers sitting in my briefcase? The cab hit a pothole, sending us lurching forward. My phone slipped from my lap. We both reached for it, our fingers brushing a jolt of something shot through. My hand, Avery pulled back, as if burned her cheeks flushing pink. Sorry, we mumbled together. The rest of the ride passed in charred silence. I couldn't stop stealing glances at her profile, the way her blonde hair curled damply at her neck, how her fingers absently traced the crystal pendant when we arrived. She insisted on paying the full fare, consider it a welcome to boot camp gift. She said with a wink that made my stomach flip as we rushed through the rain toward the building. I realized I was smiling. Maybe this career change wasn't such a bad idea after all then. Avery turned back, catching me watching her. That knowing look in her eyes made my heart race. You know, she said, holding the door open, some things are meant to be, Dr. Mitchell. Even if we can't explain them scientifically. I rolled my eyes, but followed her inside. The warmth hit me like a wave, along with the realization that my carefully planned escape into coding might not go as smoothly as I'd hoped. Not with Avery Watson around. Little did I know that rainy taxi ride was just the beginning of a story that would turn my whole world upside down. You have got to be kidding me. I stood frozen in the doorway of my assigned housing unit. Avery Watson sat cross-legged on one of the twin beds, surrounded by Craig, catching the afternoon light. Surprise roomie. She grinned, looking far too pleased. The universe works in mysterious ways. I dropped my suitcase with the thought of all the people in this program. I had to be paired with the spiritual medium, the woman who made my pulse race in ways I wasn't ready to acknowledge. I prefer the left side, she said, gesturing to her crystal-laden bed. Hope, that's okay. Whatever. I began unpacking, trying to ignore how she was watching me with those piercing blue eyes. My medical textbooks looked absurdly out of place next to her collection of tarot cards. That first night was torture. While I tried to review our coding assignments, Avery sat in lotus position, humming softly. The sound kept pulling my attention from my laptop screen. Could you not? I finally snapped. Your energy is all knotted up, she replied, opening one eye like a ball of angry yarn. My energy is fine. I slammed my laptop shut. And I don't need you reading. She unfolded herself from the bed, moving with a grace that made my mouth go dry. Want to know what else? I see, Dr. Mitchell. Not particularly. I see someone running. She stepped closer. But you can't outrun yourself. My hands trembled as I stood up. You don't know anything about me. I know you're hiding from something, someone. Her voice softened. That's why you're here. Isn't it trading scrubs for source code? The truth of her words hit too close to home. I grabbed my shower caddy and fled to the bathroom, hoping the hot water would wash away the unsettling feeling she left me with later that night. I woke to find her sitting by the window, moonlight silvering her hair. She was writing in a journal. Her face peaceful. Can't sleep, she whispered. Not looking up. Bad dreams. I hadn't meant to answer, honestly. She patted the space beside her against my better judgment. I joined her. The night felt safer somehow, like we could say things the daylight wouldn't permit. I read people's energy for. A living, she said quietly, but yours is different. It calls to me that's ridiculous, but my voice lacked conviction, is it? She turned to face me, our knees. Touching, tell me you don't feel something here. I couldn't, the air between us crackled. With possibility instead, I asked why coding, why now, same as you starting over, she smiled. Sadly, my last relationship ended when she couldn't handle my gift. She, the word echoed in my mind, opening doors. I kept firmly shut. Get some sleep, Rachel. She said softly, using my first name for the first time. Tomorrow's another day of breaking down walls, both in code and otherwise. I returned to bed, but sleep eluded me. Aver's presence across the room felt like a living thing, a pulse of energy I couldn't ignore. As I finally drifted off, I realized was startling. Clarity that this catting boot camp might teach me more than just programming languages. The real challenge would be keeping my walls up around Avery Watson, the woman who seemed to see right through them. I pulled my pillow over my head, but Aver's morning meditation still penetrated my consciousness. 2 weeks of living together, and her dawn rituals were slowly driving me insane. Not because they were annoying, but because I couldn't stop watching her join me. She called out somehow, knowing I was awake. Your aura needs cleansing, my aura needs coffee. I grumbled, but found myself sitting up anyway. The early morning light caught her blonde hair like a halo close. Your eyes, she instructed, breathe. I did, feeling foolish. Then her hand settled lightly on my shoulders, and everything changed. Warmth spread from her touch, making my skin tingle. See, your energy is already shifting. I jerked away, grabbing my laptop. We have that coding project. The project paired us together because the universe apparently had a twisted sense of humor. Hours of debugging stretched into days. Avery would lean close, her perfume, making it impossible to concentrate on JavaScript. Syntax, you missed a semicolon, she'd whisper, reaching across me to type her fingers, brush mine on the keyboard, sending. Sparks through my hand late one night. Our code still refused to run the boot. Hamp's common room was empty, except for us. Avery had tied her hair up, exposing the elegant line of her neck. Maybe we should take a break, she suggested, stretching her shirt, rode up, revealing a strip of skin that made my mouth go dry. We need to finish this. My voice sounded strange, even to me. She turned, catching me staring at her lips. To we, the air grew thick with possibility. I forced my eyes back to the screen, but the code blurred before me. What was happening? I'd never felt this way about a woman before. Your energy spikes when you look at me, she said softly. Did you know that? Stop reading me. The words came out harsher than intended. I can't help it. She moved closer. You're like a beacon in the dark. My heart hammered against my ribs. That's ridiculous. Is it? Her hand covered mine on the mouse. Then why is your pulse racing? I yanked my hand away. Standing so abruptly, my chair scraped loudly across the floor. I need some air outside. The night air did nothing to cool the heat in my cheeks. What was wrong with me? I was a respected doctor, not some lovesick teenager, and yet when I returned, Avery had fixed the bug. Our program ran perfectly. She didn't mention our moment. Just smiled, that knowing smile that made my knees weak. Sometimes, she said, packing up her things. The solution is right in front of us. We just have to be brave enough to see it. I watched her walk away, her words echoing in my head. That night, sleep eluded me again, every time I closed my eyes. I saw her lips, felt the phantom touch of her hand on mine. The worst part, deep down, I knew she was right. Something was happening between us, something that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure, and no amount of code could debug these feelings growing inside me. As I finally drifted off, I realized I was in serious trouble because Avery Watson wasn't just getting under my skin. She was working her way into my heart, one meditation session at a time. The power went out during the worst storm Corpus Christi had seen in years. Thunder rattled our windows as Avery lit candles around our room, their flames casting dancing Shadows on the walls. I might have some wine, she said, rummaging through her closet. Perfect time for truth or dare. What are we, teenagers? But I accepted the plastic cup she offered. The wine was surprisingly good. Lightning flashed, illuminating her face in the candlelight. She looked almost ethereal. 2 cups in my walls started crumbling. Truth, I said, surprising myself. Why did your marriage end? The question hung in the air between us. I took another sip. He wanted children. I wanted something else, something you couldn't name. Her voice was gentle. Maybe the wine made me brave. Your turn. Truth or dare? Truth, your last relationship, what really happened? Avery's fingers traced the rim of her cup. She said my gift was a curse that I saw too much, felt too deeply. And did you with her? No, her eyes met mine. With you all the time. The candle light flickered, matching my pulse. Your turn, I whispered. Give me your hand. That's not how the game works. Humor me. She took my palm, her touch sending shivers up my arm. Your lifeline is interesting. Don't tell me you read palms too. Among other things, her finger traced a line making me shiver. See this intersection? It means a major change is coming. The coding boot camp. She smiled mysteriously. Something bigger. We were sitting closer now. The storm forgotten. Her thumb brushed my wrist, finding my racing pulse. Your heartline is deep. She murmured, you feel things intensely, even though you try to hide it. Avery, my voice was barely audible. You're fighting it right now. Her face was inches from mine. Fighting us, there is no as liar. The word was soft, almost fond. At midnight, we ventured out for snacks from the vending machine. The hallway was dark, emergency lights casting everything in a red glow. Avery's hand found mine in the darkness. I'm not reading you right now, she said, but I can still feel it. Feel what? She turned, backing me against the wall. The first kiss was gentle, questioning. The second wasn't. Her lips tasted like wine and destiny. Her hands tangling in my hair. Everything I'd been running from, everything I'd been afraid to want, crystallized in that moment when we broke apart. Her eyes were bright in the darkness. Still think there's no us, I answered by pulling her back to me. The power could stay out forever for all I cared in that moment. Electricity had nothing on the current running between us. Later, back in our candlelit room, Avery fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I watched the storm rage outside, feeling strangely peaceful. Maybe some things didn't need scientific explanation, maybe. Sometimes you just had to trust the energy between two people, and right now that energy was telling me I'd finally stopped running right into the arms of the one person who could see through all my carefully constructed walls. The storm raged on, but inside our little sanctuary, I'd never felt more certain of anything in my life. My phone's emergency ringtone shattered our coding session at 2 a.m. The hospital needed me, multiple trauma victims from a highway pileup. I looked at our half-finished project, then at Avery. Go, she said, squeezing my hand. I've got this, but the deadline is in 6 hours. Trust me. I hesitated, then kissed her quickly. 3 weeks since that stormy night, and every touch still felt electric. You sure save lives, doctor. I'll save our code. The emergency room was chaos. 4 hours of surgery later. My hands were steady, but my mind kept drifting to Avery, to our project, to everything we'd built together. Dr. Mitchell. A nurse touched my arm. Your phone's been buzzing. 3 messages from Avery. Cods debugging. Beautifully. Miss your energy here. Done. Submitted with 10 minutes to spare. Relief flooded through me. Then another message. Meet me in classroom 3B when you're done. I found her there at sunrise, surrounded by empty energy drink cans. She'd pulled our project up on the main screen. Perfect code running flawlessly. How did you? Turns out I work well under pressure. She looked exhausted but proud. Plus I had motivation. What motivation? She stood, walking toward me with that grace that still made my breath catch, impressing a certain brilliant doctor. I'm impressed. My hands found her waist in grateful show me. Her eyes held a challenge. The classroom door clicked shut behind us. Morning light streamed through the windows as I backed her against the whiteboard. Markers clattered to the floor. Her hands slid under my scrub top, finding skin someone could come in. I whispered against her neck. Not for hours. She pulled me closer. I checked the schedule. Everything else faded away. The exhaustion The stress, the lingering scent of hospital antiseptic there was only Avery, her touch erasing everything, but this moment later, fixing her clothes and hair, she said, "Your energy is different now, different. How lighter, like you're finally letting yourself be happy." I looked at our coat on the screen, then back at her. "Maybe I am." She straightened my collar. Her touch lingering. "The hospital called while you were in surgery. They're offering you the trauma unit director position." My heart sank. That would mean less time for coding for this. She gestured between us. "For us, Avery, take it." She pressed a finger to my lips. "You're a brilliant doctor. That's part of who you are. And what about who I am with you?" Her smile was soft. "That's not going anywhere. Some connections transcend career choices." I pulled her close again, breathing in her familiar scent. "When did you get so wise? Past life experience?" She teased, then more seriously, "We'll figure it out together." Walking out into the morning sun, her hand in mine, I realized something profound. I'd come to this boot camp running from my old life only to find something I never knew. I was looking for. The hospital would always need me, but for the first time in my life, I needed something more, someone more, and she was right here holding my hand, leading me toward a future I never could have called into existence. The screaming started during our morning JavaScript lecture. A woman burst through the door, pointing an accusing finger at Avery. "You ruined my life," she shrieked. "Your reading was wrong." I watched Avery's face pale. The entire class turned to stare. Mrs. Henderson. Avery said calmly, "Perhaps we could discuss this privately. You told me he was my soulmate." The woman's mascara ran in black streaks. "Now he's gone with everything I own." Our instructor tried to intervene, but Mrs. Henderson wasn't finished. "She's a fraud, a charlatan, taking advantage of vulnerable people." My doctor instincts kicked in, recognizing signs of emotional distress, but before I could move, Avery stood. "I never guaranteed outcomes," she said softly. "I only share what the energy reveals." Energy? The woman laughed hysterically. "I'll show you energy. I'm suing you for every penny." Security finally arrived, escorting Mrs. Henderson out. The damage was done. Whispers rippled through the classroom. I caught fragments. "Medium psychic scam." Avery sat perfectly still, her face a mask, but I felt her trembling when I touched her hand under the desk. Later in our room, she finally broke down. "She's right. I should have seen it. You can't predict everything, but I should have." She paced frantically. "My gift. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes I fail people." "Hey," I caught her arm, stilling her. "You're human. Humans make mistakes. You don't understand." She pulled away. "You're a doctor. Your mistakes have protocols. Procedures. Mine just hurt people, and my mistakes don't." I thought of lost patients, wrong calls. "At least you try to help too." As she collapsed onto her bed, "Sometimes I wonder if my ex was right. Maybe it is a curse." I sat beside her, our shoulders touching. "Show me how it works. Read me." She turned surprised. "Your eyes. You don't believe in this stuff." "I believe in you." The elevator ride to the building's rooftop garden was silent. Under the stars, Avery took my hands in hers. Her touch was electric. "As always, your energy," she whispered, eyes closed. "It's like a storm and sunshine, mixed together, strong but healing. And when we touch, your breath caught. I felt it too, that inexplicable connection that defied my medical training." "I see your fears," she continued. "The hospital, the divorce, being different than what everyone expected." Stopped. My voice shook. Her eyes open, finding mine, "But mostly I see love. So much love. You don't know what to do with it." The night air crackled between us. I pulled her closer, our foreheads touching. "I know exactly what to do with it," I whispered. "That night changed everything." In the elevator back down, Avery pressed me against the wall, her kiss desperate and needing. We barely made it to our room. Hours later, watching her sleep, I realized something science couldn't explain: this connection. My medical training had no protocols for falling in love with your psychic roommate, but maybe some things weren't meant to be explained. Maybe sometimes you just had to trust the energy between two people, even if one of them was a skeptical doctor and the other read auras for a living. As if sensing my thoughts, Avery stirred. Stop thinking so loud," she murmured. I pulled her closer, breathing in her familiar scent. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. Lawsuits, judgments, the clash of our different worlds. But tonight, in this moment, everything made perfect sense. I was debugging a particularly nasty piece of code when Sarah, the A nurse, messaged me, "Your ex is here asking for you." My fingers froze over the keyboard. Avery, sitting across from me in the study room, immediately tensed. "What's wrong? Your energy just went dark." Before I could answer another message, "He's not taking no for an answer. I have to go," I said, gathering my things. "Hospital thing." Avery caught my wrist. "You're lying." I hesitated. "James is at the hospital. Your ex-husband." Her blue eyes clouded. "Want me to come?" "No." I softened it with a kiss. "I need to handle this alone." James looked exactly the same, tall, distinguished, radiating that surgeon's confidence that once attracted me. Now, it just made me tired. "Rachel," he smiled, that familiar smile. "You're looking well. What do you want?" "James, can a man visit his wife?" "Ex-wife." I corrected. "The papers were finalized months ago." He stepped closer. "I made a mistake. We both did know." I backed away. "You wanted something I couldn't give you." People change. His hand reached for mine. "I've changed." I thought of Avery, her gentle strength, her knowing smiles. "So have I." His eyes narrowed. "The nurses mentioned you've been different lately, happier." "I am happy with someone else." The question hung between us. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. "Your energy," screaming. Avery's text read, "I'm in the parking lot if you need me." Something in me settled at her words. "Yes," I told. "James was someone else." His face darkened. "That coding program, is that where you met him?" Her eye corrected quietly. The silence was deafening. "Then this is a phase." "You're confused now, James." "For the first time in my life, I'm not confused at all." I left him standing there, striding through familiar hospital corridors that suddenly felt foreign. Outside, Avery leaned against her car, waiting. "I felt your distress," she said simply. I collapsed into her arms, breathing in her familiar scent. "Take me somewhere, anywhere." She drove us to her meditation studio, closed for the evening. The space was peaceful, crystals catching the setting sun. "Sit," she instructed, arranging cushions. "Avery, I don't need." "Trust me." Her hands on my shoulder. Eris anchored me as emotions I buried for years, surfaced years of trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect doctor, years of denying who I really was. "Let it go," she whispered, "all of it." Something broke inside me. Tears came, hot and cleansing. Avery held me through it all, her energy wrapping around me like a blanket. When the storm passed, she led me to the small room where she did readings. Candles flickered to life under her touch. Your energies clearing," she murmured, drawing me close like rainwashing away old pain. Her kiss tasted like forgiveness and new beginnings. We came together slowly. This time, healing touches, replacing desperate need. Later, watching moonlight paint patterns on her skin, I realized something. James had wanted me to change for him. Avery simply wanted me to be myself. "Stop thinking," she mumbled sleepily. "How do you always know?" She smiled without opening her eyes. "Because you're part of me now. Your energy, your heart, they speak to mine." I pulled her closer, finally understanding sometimes the biggest changes in life weren't about running away from something. Sometimes they were about running toward who you were always meant to be. The screen glared back at us, read error messages mocking our 3 days of nonstop coding, our final project. A medical diagnosis app that incorporated both traditional and holistic healing approaches was crashing spectacular. "This can't be happening," I muttered, running my hands through my hair. "The demo is tomorrow." Avery squeezed my shoulder. "We'll fix it. We always do, but this time felt different." The project was ambitious. Too ambitious, our instructors had warned, but we'd been determined to prove them wrong, to show that science and alternative healing could coexist. Just like us, my phone buzzed. Another message from the hospital board about the trauma unit position. They wanted an answer by week's end. The salary was incredible. The opportunity, career defining. The catch: no more coding, no more bridge between two worlds. "Take a break," Avery said, reading my energy. "As always, your anxiety is making the lights flicker." Before I could respond, her phone rang. The caller, ID, made her face pale. "Mrs. Henderson's lawyer," she whispered. The lawsuit had grown, with more former clients joining in. They wanted to shut down her practice. Claim fraud, the media was starting to. Circle don't answer. I said I have to. She stepped out, leaving me with our broken code and broken dreams. When she returned, her eyes were red. They're offering a settlement. That's good, right? If I admit fraud, stop practicing, do a public statement, say it was all fake. No, I stood so quickly in my chair today. Can't make you deny who you are, can't they? She laughed bitterly. They're already calling networks, want to make me the next psychic scandal story. We'll fight it with what money, she gestured. At our failed project, this was supposed to be our fresh start. Now the unspoken truth hung between us. We were running out of options, out of time. My phone buzzed again, the hospital board pushing for an answer. Take it, Avery said quietly. What the hospital position? It's what you've worked for, it's not what I want anymore. She touched my face, her fingers trembling. What you want isn't always what you need. I need you, and I need you to be brilliant. Her smile was sad. To save lives, to be the amazing doctor you are. What about us? Maybe she swallowed hard. Maybe we're just meant to help each other transition, find our true paths, no? I pulled her close, fierce and desperate. This is my path, you are my path. She melted into me, her tears warm. Against my neck outside, a storm was brewing, much like the night we first kissed. Then prove it, she whispered. I turned back to our code determination, replacing despair line by line. We debugged through the night. Every error fixed brought us closer to our vision and to each other. Dawn found us exhausted but triumphant. The app worked not perfectly, but enough to show its potential. Avery's phone rang again, her lawyer this time. My hospital board notification flashed simultaneously. We looked at each other, understanding passing between us. Sometimes the biggest risks weren't about career choices or public opinion. Sometimes they were about choosing love over security dreams. Over safety ready, I asked. She took my hand, her energy merging with mine in that familiar electric way. Together, she said, and in that moment, facing our uncertain future, I knew we'd made the right choice, because some things like love, like healing, like the connection between two souls, transcended both science and spirituality. They were simply truth. The whispers started in the boot camp hallways. Sideways glances, conversations that stopped when we entered rooms. Someone had seen us in the meditation studio. Someone else had noticed. We always left together. Your energy anxious? Avery murmured during lunch, let them talk, but it wasn't just talk anymore. An anonymous email circulated through the class questioning whether a fraudulent psychic should be allowed to graduate. Another suggested my medical license might be at risk. Dr. Mitchell. The hospital board secretary's voice was carefully neutral. The board requests your presence tomorrow morning. I found Avery in our room, surrounded by crystals. Her eyes were closed, but I knew she felt me enter. They know, I said simply. I know. She opened her eyes. Your colleague from the EA saw us at the coffee shop, the one where we'd kissed not caring, who saw where I'd finally felt free to be myself. The board wants to see me. She stood, wrapping her arms around me from behind. Are you ready for this now? I leaned into her, but I'm tired of hiding. The board meeting was exactly as uncomfortable as I'd expected. 5 stern faces, years of medical tradition staring me down. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Sanders, began your recent behavior has raised concerns. My work hasn't suffered. This isn't about your work. He shuffled papers. It's about reputation standards. I felt Avery's strength flowing through me, like caring for patients, like finding new ways to heal, like consorting with psychics. Another board member cut in like public displays of love. I finished for him, yes. I'm in love with a woman who happens to be psychic, who helps people in her own way, just like we do. Silence fell. Dr. Sanders cleared his throat. Perhaps a leave of absence. No, I stood straighter. I'm an excellent doctor. My personal life doesn't change. That the hospital has an image to maintain, then maintain it without me. The words surprised even me, but they felt right back at boot camp. Another storm was brewing. The program director had called Avery in for a discussion about professional conduct. I found her afterward in our favorite study room, tears streaming Down her face, they said I'm disrupting the learning environment. She laughed bitterly that my lifestyle choices are making others uncomfortable. I pulled her into my arms, not caring who saw through the glass walls. Then let's make them really uncomfortable in the cafeteria that afternoon. I kissed her right there between the salad bar and the coffee station. Someone gasped, someone else clapped. Your energy's glowing, she whispered against my lips. So is yours. The email stopped the whispers. Turned to conversations slowly. People began to really see us, not as a scandal, but as two people who found each other. Against all odds that evening, I drafted my resignation from the hospital. Avery worked on her statement for the lawsuit. Not an admission of fraud, but a declaration of truth. You know, this changes everything, she said, watching me hit send. Everything already changed. I took her hand the moment you got in my taxi. She smiled, that knowing smile that still made my heart race. That wasn't chance. No, I agreed, it was destiny outside our window, Corpus. Christie's lights twinkled like stars. We'd lost some things. Security, certainty, the comfort of fitting in, but we'd gained something greater, the freedom to be ourselves. The courage to love openly, the chance to show that sometimes the most powerful healing comes from being true to your heart and no board. Meeting, no lawsuit, no whispered judgment could take that away. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, Mayo Clinic. They'd seen my research on integrating technology with emergency medicine. They wanted me to head their new trauma innovation department in Minnesota. Your energy shifted, Avery said, looking up from her laptop. What's wrong? Before I could answer, her phone rang. The caller ID made us both freeze. National Geographic Channel. We sat in silence, each holding our respective futures in our hands. The universe, it seemed, had a twisted sense of timing. They want me to host a show, she finally said, exploring supernatural phenomena across America. That's amazing. It films in Los Angeles, 2000 m. Apart, the distance felt like a physical ache. The Mayo position, I started take it. She smiled, but her eyes were bright with unshed tears. It's perfect. For you, nothing's perfect without you. We skipped afternoon classes, walking along the Corpus Crazy beach. The waves matched my turbulent thoughts. Stay, go, choose sacrifice. Remember our first kiss, Avery asked, stopping at the pier during the blackout. I pulled her close. You tasted like wine and destiny, I knew. Then she traced my cheek. That loving you would change everything. We could try long distance. She shook her head. You know what happens to energy when it's stretched too thin. The sun was setting, painting the sky in impossible colors, just like us, a doctor and a psychic, science and spirituality, logic and magic. I can find another position, I said, here or in LA, and resent me for holding you back. She turned to face the ocean. Your gift is healing. The world needs that. The world needs your gift too. She laughed softly. The world needs us both, maybe. Just not in the same place. That night we climbed to our rooftop garden, the same spot where she'd first really read my energy, where I'd first admitted I was falling in love. Close your eyes, she whispered. Her hands found mine, that familiar electric connection sparking between us. What do you see? I asked. Two paths. Her voice was distant, seeing things I couldn't. Both bright, both beautiful. Do they ever meet? She was quiet for a long moment. They're already joined. Distance can't change that. I can't lose you. You won't. Her eyes open, finding mine in the darkness. Some connections transcend physical space. We made love under the stars, desperate and tender. Every touch felt like memorizing, like holding on, like letting go. Dawn found us still awake, watching the sun rise over the Gulf. We have 2 weeks until graduation. I said, 2 weeks to figure out our future. My phone buzzed. Mayo Clinic wanted an answer. Hers lit up with another law number. Whatever we choose, she said, we choose to together. I looked at her, this woman who turned my world upside down, who taught me that love doesn't always follow logical paths, that sometimes the bravest choice is letting go together. I agreed, because maybe that's what real love was, not keeping someone close, but giving them wings to fly, trusting that what's meant to be will find its way back. The sun rose higher, warming our faces. 2 paths stretched before us, bright with possibility and heavy with choice. But for now, we had this moment, this rooftop This love that defied explanation, and sometimes that had to be enough. The idea hit me at 3 o'clock a.m. Watching Avery sleep her crystals caught the moonlight, scattering rainbow patterns across our code-filled whiteboard. Wake up. I shook her gently. I know how we can stay together. She blinked sleepily, your energy's buzzing like caffeine. The diagnosis app, we can make it bigger over the next week. We barely slept. The app evolved from simple diagnosis to something revolutionary, a bridge between traditional medicine and holistic healing. See, I pointed to the screen. Doctors input symptoms, get standard protocols, but here, the energy reading integration. Avery's eyes lit up. Alternative treatments, meditation guides, both approaches working together. Just like us, we pitched it to the boot camps. Investors showcased the room. Was packed. Tech investors, medical professionals, even a few television producers. I started with the science, clean interface, machine learning, algorithms, evidence-based protocols. Then Avery stepped forward, but healing isn't just about physical symptoms. She said it's about energy connection. The whole person in the room was silent. Then the question started. How would we scale? What about liability? Could we prove it worked? We already have. I said, pulling up our test results, 30% better recovery rates. When both approaches are used afterward, the offers came: venture capital, development deals, even Mayo Clinic was interested not just in me, but in our project. They want us both, I told Avery that night in Minnesota. What about the show they'll film? Anywhere. I pulled her close. As long as there were supernatural phenomena to explore, she laughed. Against my neck. Minnesota's pretty haunted. We presented our findings at a medical conference. I wore my doctor's coat. Avery, her crystals, the contrast, made people smile, then listen, then believe. The future of medicine. One journal called us Where Science Meets Spirit. The lawsuit against Avery was settled. Her clients now wanted to be part of the app's development. The hospital board that questioned US now wanted to implement our program. Ready for this? I asked before our TED Talk. She squeezed my hand. Your energy is steady like always. We told our story, not just about the app, but about us, a doctor who learned to trust what she couldn't explain, a psychic who found validation in code. Sometimes the best healing, Avery told the audience, comes from opening your mind to new possibilities, and sometimes, I added, love is the best medicine of all. Standing ovation. More offers, more opportunities. But the real victory came later in our hotel room. Avery was arranging her crystals on the windowsill, a habit that once drove me crazy now made me smile. Your aura is different, she said without turning peaceful, because I finally understand that some things can't be explained. I wrapped my arms around her waist. They can only be felt. She turned in my embrace. The doctor admits defeat. The doctor admits love. Outside Minneapolis sparkled with promise. Our app was launching next month. Avery's show would film its first episode here. Investigating a haunted hospital. Of course we did it, she whispered. We found a way. We created one. I corrected, just like we'll keep doing, because that's what love does. It doesn't accept limitations or distances. It builds bridges, writes new code, finds ways to heal what's broken, even if that means rewriting everything you thought you knew about healing, about love, about yourself. Your energy glowing, Avery said. I smiled. So is yours. And in that moment, everything made perfect sense. Science and spirit, logic and love, two paths becoming one. Just like us, the boot camp graduation wasn't like any other. Instead of caps and gowns, we wore what represented us. My white coat, Avery's flowing dress in crystal. Today's energy is special, she whispered as we waited to receive our certificates, like the universe is celebrating. She was right. The air hummed with possibility. Our app was launching next week, already pre-downloaded by thousands of medical professionals and holistic healers alike. The ceremony itself was brief, but what came after wasn't in any program. I took the microphone, heart racing. A year ago, I got into a taxi running away from love. My voice carried across the auditorium. Instead, I ran straight into it. Avery's eyes widened as I walked toward her. You taught me that some things can't be explained by science, that sometimes the most powerful healing comes from letting your heart lead. The room was silent, holding its breath. So today, in front of everyone who doubted us, who whispered about the doctor and the psychic, I took her hands in mine. I'm asking you to heal hearts with me forever. I didn't kneel, we were always equals. Instead, I opened my palm, revealing a crystal ring we'd chosen together, your energies everywhere. She said, tears sparkling in every atom of this room. Is that a yes? Her kiss was answer enough. The audience erupted in cheers, led by our classmates who'd watched our story unfold later. At the rooftop garden where we'd first connected, we hosted our unconventional celebration. Doctors mingled with psychics, coders, shared drinks with crystal healers. Look what we started, Avery said, watching a surgeon earnestly discussing chakras. With her mentor, our app success had sparked something bigger, a movement. Bridging the gap between traditional and alternative medicine, hospitals were adding meditation rooms. Healing centers were embracing technology. Remember our first night here? I asked, leading her to our spot under the stars. You were so skeptical, she laughed. Your energy was all spiky, and now it's like a sunrise. She touched my face, warm and bright and endless. The Mayo Clinic had given us joint positions, me heading the trauma unit, her running the new integrative healing center, her show would film its paranormal investigations nearby. We're really doing this, I said, watching our guests below. Changing medicine, changing minds, changing lives. She pressed closer. Starting with our own, the night wrapped around us like a familiar embrace. Music drifted up from the party, but we had our own. Rhythm, the steady beat of two hearts that found their way home. Your mother would be proud, Avery said softly, reading my thoughts as always. A doctor who heals more than just bodies. Tears pricked my eyes. She was right. Mom had always said medicine needed more heart. Our patients get the best of both worlds. Now I said science and spirit, logic and love. Speaking of love, I pulled her into a dance ready for forever. Her smile lit up the night. I saw this coming. You know, in your crystal ball in your eyes. She kissed me softly the first moment you looked at me below. Our worlds continued merging above stars, winked their approval, and here in each other's arms, we had everything we never knew we were looking for. I love you. I whispered, beyond science, beyond reason, I love you too. She rested her head on my shoulder. Beyond space, beyond time, the night stretched endless. Before us, full of promise and possibility, we'd rewritten the rules of healing, of love, of what was possible when you opened your heart to magic. And this was just the beginning, because some stories don't end. They evolve, transform, inspire others to believe in the power of unexpected love, just like us, just like always, for forever.